going on, everyone? We've got another image sent in. We are working with this one right here, and what I love about his work is the creaminess he achieves in the sharpness and in the colors. So I really like that, particularly in his images. And there's also a good amount of shadows and a decent fade to those blacks. So if you guys also like this, you can go give him a follow down in the description. As always, his links will be down there. So yeah, let's get into Lightroom, see if we can create something pretty awesome like this. Let's get into it. Here's our raw unedited file. So the first thing I'm going to do is really bring up the shadows and the blacks. So I'm going to take out a lot of the contrast now, because I'm going to add in a lot of contrast with the curves, especially the red, green and blue channels. And I want to add in contrast with those rather than up here, because I feel like it gives more richer colors, more rich contrast. So we'll go down to the curves now. We'll do an S curve and the red, green and blue channel and a fade with this one here. Okay, so that's our curves done. Here's the before and after of just the curves. So you can see what a huge difference that does. And if we just get rid of this one, you can see what the other curves do. And then we add in, a bit of contrast throughout the image with this curve. So say we've brought the shadows down a bit, brought the midtones down a little, and then brought the highlights up. So that's highlights down, highlights up. So a bit of contrast strategically put throughout the image with this curve, and we brought that black point up again. And we also brought the black point up for the curves in the red, green and blue channels. And he's helped me with these settings, and I actually haven't seen that before, but I guess that is something to look into. I think it just gives a bit of an extra fade to those darker areas. But you can see the richness we brought into those darker areas and the fade. So good start so far. So we're going to move on. I want to soften up the image a bit. So this one looks quite creamy. You can tell from the background. So let's drop the clarity. And let's drop the highlights, as we're much brighter in our one. And you might be like, why drop the highlights here and bring the highlights up on the curve? But there's a bit of a difference. So if I keep the highlights up here and brought them down here, it gives a flatness to the image. And I don't think that's sort of the look we have. So it is different moving the sliders up here than it is moving down here, because these will actually bring out detail, where, say, bringing up the blacks here will just add a fade. Okay, so as I said, he has helped me with quite a lot of these settings, so I don't know why every single one has been moved, because he's probably tried some things, or he's got some presets he's got some settings applied from his presets, and he's just not gone back and changed them. He's just added to that preset. So can't tell you why every single thing has been adjusted like that, but at least you guys know you're getting the exact settings. Okay, so let's go down to some colors. Now, he has probably used this as part of his coloring in his presets, so I'm just gonna do what I've got. I usually don't use calibration. I feel like you can get all the results you need out of the HSL, but let's just do these. Okay, as you can see, the colors don't look too good after that, but as I said, he has helped me with the settings. These are the settings that I was given. So let's fix up the colors with the HSL, just make it look better. So can't really see what we're doing with those oranges. Let's shift these yellows first. I don't think they look too bad. I think we need to shift the greens. And let's desaturate those yellows. Let's move these oranges. See how our hand is just looking too yellow. Let's warm it up. So there's only a tiny bit of red in this image, but just out there, I'm going to shift it way more to orange. We'll go a little more teal as we're looking quite purple back there. And there's not much magenta, but I'll put it there. Take down some oranges. Gonna bring up the vibrance a bit because I think our image needs a little more pop to the colors. Alright, let's go back down. Right, where are we? Up to greens. They can come up, as you can see. Don't quite have enough in there. We're going to brush our sky in later, so then you'll see the effects of these blues later a bit more. Not a lot of magenta. And luminance, we want nice, deep colors, and luminance can kind of give that look by dropping them. So bringing them up is sort of that bright, vibrant look, and dropping them as a deeper look. So as you can see, that would be going for a nice, bright, vibrant look. You want that deeper, slightly moodier look. Okay, so there's a lot we need to do. I'll just check sharpening. We want to sharpen quite a bit. And we definitely want to bring up masking. So masking means the further you bring it up, it's only going to sharpen the thick lines. I'm going to bring it up to about 60. Radius down. Okay, looking good. I think we could be ready for some filters. Okay, so one thing, brushes. So I've left the brushes already brushed here for convenience, otherwise I have to brush them all again and then make sure I get them exact. I'll just show you what I did. So I've brushed the entire sky. It has no effects at the moment, so it's not doing anything, but I just kept them there for convenience as I've gone through this edit before. And let's add some color and contrast back into the sky. So I need to bring down the exposure, it's too bright. Maybe bring down the highlights. Haze is really going to bring those clouds in, so we'll lift that up. Clarity. I think I'm going to leave clarity up in this one because it just gives a bit more shape, and I don't think it makes them look too crisp. Let's bring up the whites. Shadows coming up as there's a bit too much there. I might just take down the saturation. And if we go back, I think we're done with that. I want to add in some blue into the highlights for the entire image though. I think we're too warm throughout all the highlights in the whole image. You can kind of see that by looking at the bright bits. They're a bit warmer and our grass looks a lot warmer. So let's do that. highlights. And I'm just going to put it so that means it's putting a little bit into the shadows or midtones. If I go all the way across, it's going to put some blue into the shadows as well. Just go for about there. If we go back to here, I think we're looking okay for now. I might have to bump up those shadows maybe. Let's move on. So these birds here, they are a bit too dark, so there's a brush on them as well. So already did that. So what you want to do is just brush over, and then if you get your brush wrong, click erase and brush away what you did over your subject. So that's all you need to do. And now we'll do some adjustments to that selection. So they need a bit of exposure, they're a bit dark. They're still a bit dark, but I know I'm going to want some contrast. Let's try bumping the shadows a touch. I only want to do a tiny bit because there's some other effects I know I'm going to do over top of these. I probably should do this one last. Yeah, I'll come back to this one. So I want to add a nice hazy effect to this image. So it looks nice and creamy, and we've got, if you look at this area here, there's a nice haze to the image right across the horizon there. So we're going to add that in with one of these. So again, it's that softness you see there, and it sort of comes down across the entire image, slowly fades out. That's why it's so big. Okay. So we're going to drop the clarity in the top half of the image. We'll add some brightness back in with a different filter, but we were trying to get that nice hazy look. Bring up the exposure. Should have done that before. Otherwise you guys couldn't have seen what I was doing. So I want a bit more contrast. I want to take out those highlights because it's way too bright. Okay, we're starting to get that softness that slowly comes down throughout the whole image. Okay, pretty happy with that. If we grab one of these, I want to add a bit of a vignette to the image. So we're a bit bright. I purposely left this a little too bright because I know I'm going to add like a vignette, a harsher, it's sort of got a natural vignette, but I want to add to it. So doing one of these. And I want to make sure I'm affecting the outside. So click this. It will show you where you're affecting. We're affecting the outside. Drop the shadows. I might up the clarity. We want to keep our subjects nice and creamy. They're about the right sharpness at the moment, but yeah, a little bit of clarity to the rest. And yeah, that might do for now. I'm gonna add a bit more of a vignette in another area, otherwise we're gonna get too dark down the bottom here if I add in a vignette with this one. So we'll close that. We will do drop the exposure. When you add contrast and darken it, sometimes too much saturation gets in there, so just dropping that by a bit. I won't dark it exactly the same as this because I'm still gonna add a little bit to the vignette, I think. If we close that for now, where's the vignette? There. Just a little bit. Might have to brighten the rest of our image. Looks right. We'll add some grain while we're here. Make it a bit bigger. Alright. Let's go back. This is quite the challenging edit, but we'll get there. So we want to go back to our bird selection. We will put in some clarity in them. A little too soft. Maybe even a touch of extra exposure. Okay, they look alright for now. So our hand here is a little too bright, so we need to drop that. So it's already selected. That's what I've done already. But now I'll add some effects to it. So just got to bring down the exposure. Add some contrast. Some softness to it. Right, we'll just go see if we've got nailing everything up here. Maybe a bit more in the highlights. Nah. So what we'll do now is just do some dodging and burning. So we've pretty much got there. I just want to bring up the blacks for these birds here. So I want to do some dodging and burning now. He said he took this into Photoshop to do his dodging and burning, but we'll just do a little bit what we can in Photoshop here. We should get pretty close to the same result. So grab brush, and we will brighten the brighter areas. This is what dodging and burning is. You generally darken the darker areas and you brighten the brighten areas on your selected areas, so the areas you want to stand out. So add a bit of exposure and we'll just brush where we want. And make sure you're quite feathered out. Bracket key to make your brush bigger and smaller. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. Okay, so then you want to do the same with darkening, so dodging and burning. Let's grab a new brush, reset this, and we're gonna darken the darker areas for a bit more contrast. So I'm gonna go, we want to change that to darken. Maybe dropping the shadows by 5. Just reset where we've brushed. So let's start again. And let's brush where we want it to be a bit darker. So along there. Places that are already kind of dark, so I'm gonna go along there. I think that looks okay. If we go back to this one, I might just up the whites. And the bird selection. Up the whites a bit, I think. And then for our dodging and burning we did for brighter areas, just going to make sure the center of the image is looking quite bright. So I'm going to brush all around the hand, just so the center of the image pops a bit more. Add some sharpening to these guys. Only a little bit. We want to keep them nice and soft. But I think we're pretty close. Again, that hand could do with some more. I think we're looking pretty good. On this brush, just add a little bit of clarity. Just a few more tweaks now. If I go back to the hand, I just want to get rid of the whites that we added in. I think they're just a bit too bright. Get a bit more of a flatness. And the dodging and burning we did, the brightening of the areas, want to enhance that a bit more. So very slightly increases. Might just do a little more brushing. Bracket key to go smaller. And then the darkening we did, I just want to add a bit more, especially to the birds here. So we're darkening just a bit. Might be easier to create a new brush. And I feel like we want the whites on the bird to pop. So I'm just going to do another one as well. Whole new brush. Just for the whites on the bird. I think he's really tried to make... I think he's gone through the extra effort to make those whites pop. So just go whites. And I think our vignette is a little harsh, so if you look over here or down his arm, we need to bring that down a bit. Remove it. And our colors look a little too vibrant, especially after that. And I think over in his, the colors look a bit more muted, so we'll bring this down. And then I just want to make sure those birds here have enough saturation. So I'll just add a little bit in. And yeah, it looks about right. So I'll probably just leave it there, guys. Looking pretty close. And if you guys want to go give him a follow, I'll put all of his links down in the description. I think he's got some amazing work. So go do that if you want. And yeah, check out the presets if you're liking these tutorials. I'm currently offering you guys all my presets. And yeah, leave a comment on who you guys want to see. Helps me. I go through all those and then I go reach out to them on Instagram to ask to do a tutorial on them. And yeah, leave a like, let me know what you think, and I'll catch you in the next one.